Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Gotham and Beyond podcast. I am your host, Evil Dungeon Master Vince. Hopefully you're doing well out there. I know I am. Today, I'd like to welcome you back. And before I get into this one today, I just want to stop for a second and say thank you. Yes, thank you to you out there listening to this podcast. Spotify notified me yesterday that it sent over a notice saying we've officially crossed over 1,000 downloads since I started doing Season 2. Wow, that's pretty freaking wild to me and amazing that this little podcast about DC Heroes 3rd Edition actually moved on to 1,000 downloads. Now, I mean, most people are probably like, big deal, but that's a big deal to me, considering that I do this podcast every once in a while. And then I started ramping it up a little bit more episodes and actually talking about modules and things like that for 3rd edition. So I thank you for those that are downloaded. If you want to go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating there as well and just say how much you love the show so I can read it on the air. I know people love hearing that. I'd appreciate it. If you want to comment, go to Spotify as well on the app. Or you can go to my YouTube channel. I think it's Gotham Beyond on YouTube. And you can see the audiogram of this, and you can comment away there and ask questions. I'll leave a link in the show notes. So it's just wild to me, that's all. But today, we're going to talk about one of the odd corners of DC material. And me sitting here talking into a mic about rules books and source books that I love, that means a lot. So let's dive into this right now, and we're going to talk about it. I know I'm delaying, right? But let's travel over to one of the grimiest places in the DC game line, the Belle Reve. More specifically, the Belle Reve Sourcebook. Now, this is a 1st edition sourcebook for DC Heroes that is built around Task Force X, the Suicide Squad, and the prison itself. Right away, that gives you a different feel than a normal hero book. This is not bright capes and, clean public heroics. This is government-controlled, dirty work, criminals on a leash, and a prison that feels like it was designed by somebody who trusted concrete more than it did people. This is the part where it actually makes it a lot of fun to me, at least. The book opens with a memorandum from the operative Salvo to the President of the United States of America. This sets the tone right out of the gate. I mean, it honestly does. It does not read like a cheerful superhero setup. It reads like concern, pressure, and damage control. Task Force X has become a political problem. Amanda Waller is too visible. Plastique is unstable. Nightshade is under too much strain. The memo pushes for changes, and every one of those changes tells you what kind of operation that really is. This is not a team because anyone likes each other. This is not even a team because it's healthy. It's a team because the government found use for dangerous people and boxed them into a system. That, my friends, is what the Suicide Squad is. And the sourcebook understands this absolutely. And then when you flip a little bit more, you get the squad history section. I think that part is kind of strong when you read it. It gives you a clean run through where the team came from, how Flag got involved, and how modern version grew out of earlier ideas of this. The important thing here is just not the dates and the names, it is the feel of the thing. The squad exists in a space between patriotism and manipulation. The government absolutely wants results at this point. The people sent on the missions are basically expendable, duh. The structure is military, but the heart of it is desperation. That is a strong hook for play here. You do not need to twist yourself into knots trying to make every character a noble person. You do not need to pretend these are standard heroes. The book gives you permission to run people who are compromised, cornered, angry, unuseful, and absolutely dangerous. That kind of tension can carry a whole entire campaign with this one book. Then you hit the mission section right after that. And this might be my favorite part of the entire book when I'm reading it, because it is packed with operation named short mission write-ups that feel like somebody handing you classified notes from the government or something. Operation Brimstorm, Fire Break, Fire Drill, Moby Dick, Nightshade. These are niche. These have nice rhymes to these names, and they feel like official, as if it was really like a government little thing here for a little dramatic adventure. It was perfect for the squad. And the missions themselves do a lot with very little space. One team is dealing with Brimstone, another Firestorm. This is an infiltration, sabotage, extraction, propaganda, and metahuman threats, false identities, and government lies piled on top of government lies. We all love those conspiracies, don't we? Even when the write-ups are short, you can feel the shape of the whole issue or the whole session sitting inside them. This is useful, absolutely, for me or anyone. This is one of the marks of a good source book, and it should make you want to run the game. It should not just dump lore on your lap and ask you, hey, just go to town with it, buddy, and see what you do. It should hand you pieces that make your head start moving. This book does that. You can read a mission summary and immediately start asking questions. What if the mission went bad? What if one member of the Suicide Squad disobeys orders? What if Waller lied, shocker, about the real objective? What if the target was never the real target? That is where the gameable material lies. Or lives, I should say. And then there is the Belle Reve itself, which we really didn't talk much about. We were talking about the Suicide Squad and everything else mostly, but the prison section is great because it does not just say, well, here's your prison, have fun. It gives you history, structure, purpose, and a sense of why this place actually matters in the universe. Belle Reve sits in Louisiana near Huma, and the sourcebook makes it clear that this is more than a place to hold inmates. It is a covert headquarters for Task Force X. It has regular prison functions, but it also has layers under that. Special cells, equipment, communication, control. There is a public face and a hidden one. That is exactly the kind of setup I like. A prison is already a tense environment. Adding metahumans, black ops work, explosive bracelets, secret agendas, and Amanda Waller standing at the center of it all, and now every hallway actually matters here. One of the details that sticks with me is how careful the government is about the prison's public image. And obviously, for obvious reasons, you need to be a certain way. Belle Reve needs to look like a normal federal prison on the surface, even while it's doing its work that absolutely is not normal. That double life is perfect for the squad. Everything about the Task Force S runs on contradiction. We got public denial and private use, official control, unstable assets, loyalty demand from the people who are barely trusted. That is absolutely good DC hero material. And the equipment section, that is like a nice touch there as well. It grounds the whole thing for us. You get the prison stats, staff stats, combatants, special restraints, the explosive bracelets, the transmitter system, the helicopter, the hypno device, and a baby Huey. All that matters because it reminds you that this is not fantasy hand-waving going on here. The squad is managed, monitored, controlled, sometimes barely, which means every mission has built-in pressure point. Yeah, if the tech fails, there's a problem. If the control system gets hacked, there's another problem. If a field member decides they'd rather die than obey, there definitely is a problem. And that is before you even get into the core members. Now, core members, Colonel Rick Flag, Amanda Waller, Bronze Tiger, Deadshot, Enchantress, Duchess, Nightshade, Nemesis, Shade the Changing Man. This is not a clean, comfortable roster. It's basically a tense one. Some are professionals, some are liabilities, some are both at the same time. And this sourcebook does a great job giving each of them enough weight that you can picture how ugly this team meeting really must be in that room. That, maybe more than anything, is why Belle Reve works for me. It does not feel safe. It feels useful, pressured. It feels like a kind of place where every order has a cost attached to it, and every mission can turn into a cover-up by page 2. And that is exactly what I want from a suicide book. There is also something else about this book that gets right. It remembers that the Suicide Squad is not just a team book, it's a pressure cooker that matters. A lot of superhero team books are built around trust, and at least the idea that trust can be repaired. You put heroes together, they argue, somebody storms off, the mission gets bad, and they pull together eventually. And that's probably a pretty good formula. It works for a reason. This is not that. Belle Reve is full of some people who may never trust each other ever in life. Some of them should not ever trust one another. Some of them are being watched every single second. Some are here because they have unusual skills. Some are here because there is nowhere else to put them. And some are one bad day away from making the whole operation collapse. This is what gives the book its bite. Now, Rick Flag is there to lead, but also contain. Amanda Waller is there to direct, but also pressure and lie to everybody. Bronze Tiger has the discipline, Deadshot has the skills and ego, and Enchantress is not just dangerous, she's unstable in a way that changes the whole room. Duchess has her own edge, Nightshade brings power, but also the strain. Even when a member is capable, the question is never just, can they get the job done? The question, what will it cost to keep them pointed in the right direction long enough to finish? That is a very different edge than the Justice League book, for example, and I think that is why the Belle Reve book works as more than just a support book for one title. You could take material here and build a whole campaign around it if you really wanted to, really easily. You could run a straight suicide campaign, sure, that is an obvious move. Missions, betrayals, field operation, government orders, internal conflict, all there. That is already right there in the book, just sitting right there, but you could also run a prison campaign. That might be even better, thinking about it. You don't even need to start with an official team. Start inside Belle Reve, start with rumors, start with inmates hearing strange things in the walls. Start with controlled movements, sealed wings, staff acting nervous, and whispers about prisoners who are not on the public roster. Now you have a place with layers. A player could be a staff. Why not? A player could be an inmate. Sure. A player could be a new transfer. A player could be somebody attached to Waller's operation who has not figured out yet what they signed into. That gives you a lot of angles without needing to overbuild anything here. And the floor plans help, obviously. They really do. This is one of those older books that understood that maps matter, and maps absolutely do matter, especially in this situation. Belle Reve is not just described in broad strokes like I've talked about. You can actually feel the structure of it, the towers, the cells, the communication, control points, security spaces. It helps the prison feel like it's alive, it's real, and when a place feels real, tension lands a lot harder. You know where people are, you know what it means to move from one part of the building to another. You know what it means when a door opens that should stay shut. And that is kind of like, it's actually what I want to say is gold for a referee. There is also a very practical strength here. The source book is efficient. It is only 20 pages, and you think that's not a lot. With all those double-spaced long columns, it does not feel thin. That is something I appreciate more and more. A lot of game books can drown you in words without giving you much to use. This one is a lot tighter when it comes to that. It gives you the prison, the mission, the history, the key figures, and team members. The feel of the operation, enough hardware to make the whole thing dangerous. That is smart design, and they did a good job in first edition when it comes to these things. You could sit down with this book and come away with multiple session ideas in one read, maybe even several more. That matters to me because I like the books that earn their space on the shelf. It just feels better. I also think that there is something fun about using this book even when you're not running the Suicide Squad exactly as written. Say you want a Gotham campaign where Batman keeps circling a prison black site you cannot quite pin down. This book helps. Say you want a government metahuman detention center with a public face and a classified inner program. Say you want Waller as an NPC power center who is really neither fully villain nor ally. This book helps. Amanda Waller might be one of the strongest pieces in this whole setup because she is not there to be liked. She's there to get results. And once you have a character like that in a game, everything sharpens. She'd be a great NPC adversary, to be honest, in every campaign. Just to be a nuisance to the players. So every success feels like a little compromise. Every failure feels like it will be remembered and used later. You want that in a campaign. You want NPCs who make the room colder when they enter, and she definitely will. Amanda Waller does that. And then there is the larger DC angle here. This book quietly reminds you that the DC universe is bigger than heroics on rooftops and colorful fights downtown. There are prisons, agencies, classified projects, and political pressure, metahuman containment, black programs, damaged people used for state goals. That material makes the setting feel so much bigger and heavier, and frankly more dangerous. That is good contrast, because if all you ever show is the public face of heroism, the setting kind of gets flat and dull and boring sometimes. Books like this add the shadow behind everything. They add machinery, they show you the systems behind the masks. And once you see that stuff, it is not hard to start thinking differently about the whole universe itself. What other prisons are out there? What other programs are buried? How many missions get erased? Who got sent into the field because somebody in Washington needed a problem to go away by Friday? That is all right here under the surface. One thing I kept thinking while going through this source book is that it knows exactly what it wants to be. It's not trying to cover the entire DC universe in one 20-page book. It's not trying to be a broad toolkit for everything. It's about Belle Reve, Task Force X, and the kind of operations that grow out of that setup. Because it stays focused, it lands harder, and because that is a lesson for the game design in general. Pick a thing, do it well, make it usable. Belle Reve really does that. So if you like the Suicide Squad, this is an easy book to enjoy. If you like the prison break tension, kind of like Black Ops mission structure or government-controlled metahuman horror, it is even easier for you if you want. And if you're a GM looking for a place that instantly creates stress, mistrust, and hard choices, this book is a gift. It's not cheerful. It's definitely not clean. It is not trying to make anybody look like noble all the time or good. That is why it works. So that is Belle Reve. Not just a prison, not just a headquarters. It's a source book built in to fill the background stuff that you're missing in your campaign. It is a machine built to hold dangerous people, point them at worse problems, and hope the whole thing does not come apart before the mission ends. That is what makes it so good. You can feel the strain in this book, the pressure, the control, that fear that one bad call opens one door, one broken order, one person deciding they're done being used, could turn the whole operation into a disaster by sunrise. That is not superhero comfort food. That is DC heroes with the lights turned low. And maybe that is why Belle Reve sticks with me. It's not trying to impress you with scale. It's not trying to sell you on bright heroics. It gives you walls, secrets, unstable people, government pressure, and a system that only works until it doesn't. That is a great setup for a comic. That is a great setup for a game. And to be honest, that is a great reminder of how deep the DC game line can go when it really wants to, or wanted to. Sometimes the best books are not the ones with the biggest names on the cover. Sometimes they're the ones that hand you a place, hand you a problem, and quietly dare you to survive it. Belle Reve does that, and if you ask me, that is more than enough reason to crack this one open. Thanks again for listening. Hopefully you've enjoyed this podcast, and thanks again for making Gotham and Beyond hit 1,000 downloads. I appreciate every single one of you. If any questions, you can send them to gothamdatabase@gmail.com. Go to the website gotham-database.com and follow along on X at Gotham Database. Keep it original, keep it old school, good night, and God bless everybody.